tactics, leadership principles across generations. I love this because I'm in business with my dad, who's in a different generation than me, and there's so much that we learn from each other, and it's so important to have that. So, without further ado, show you how I go.
Brian Tracy,
And I'm Michael Tracy.
and today we want to talk to you about leadership principles across generations. Your ability to be a leader, practicing the qualities of leadership, can enable you to accomplish vastly more than if you do not have these qualities. So we'll explore how the core leadership principles have evolved and how they apply to leading diverse teams today. Michael, it's great to have you here with your experience in leading in today's fast-paced, tech-driven business. I've been so impressed with the wonderful work that you've done with large and small organizations in sharing the leadership principle. So together, we'll explore how leadership principles have evolved and how they remain relevant across different generations.
Thanks, Dad. This is an interesting topic, but it's crucial for leaders today. Leadership has transformed, but it's interesting to see how certain principles stand the test of time, even as we adapt to new challenges and diverse team dynamics.
Exactly. When I started my career, leadership was very much about command and control. Leaders were expected to direct, with followers doing as told. However, one timeless principle that was as true then and still is now is the importance of vision. A great leader.
That's good. Talking about command and control, and it, it was, I feel like in the past generation, me and my dad, we talk about this all the time. There's a level of understood hierarchy and understood role setting, and it that is what creates business structures because you're in complete understanding of what your role is, what you need to do in order to push the goal line further and make yourself better. And I like how they say that vision is that transcends generations because in order for you to have vision, you have to have certain things that you know work currently and then put into place things and implement things that will be applicable in the future for you to apply it at a high efficiency. But in order for you to even want to do that or know that it's possible, you have to have a vision in place. So I like that.
Has always needed a clear and compelling vision that motivates and guides their team toward shared goals.
And what our vision is at Snowy Atlanta is to deliver high level service and create a memorable experience. And because that is our vision, we've created an entire ecosystem behind that. When it's training, staff, making sure our units are ready to go, our equipment is good, then we know that everybody is in alignment with the goal, with the vision, and they're able to do what they need to do in order to push us forward, to make us better. Because we are in complete knowledge from the admin side that there's no way that we can do everything and scale. So we have to create a team that understands our vision to deliver that memorable experience. That is a non-negotiable. But in order for you to do that at a high level, that's when the back end work is so important. That's when preparation is so important. And to have more energy in the preparation and less energy in the performance, that's only going to allow you to be more prepared to do the things that you need to do at a high level and to avoid certain issues because you now are putting yourself in a position to set everything up at a high efficiency rate. And then when the performance comes, you're able to perform and all the things that you have been practicing, all the things that you've been putting in place, it's just going to come out. And vice versa on the opposite side, if your performance, if your time and energy in your performance is higher than your time and energy in the preparation, it's going to come out and there's going to be certain things that you weren't prepared for and things that come into your ecosystem, into your reality, that you don't have the systems in place, the operation to solve this problem at an efficient rate. So that is what creates chaos. And then from our point of view, that steers us away from the vision, because if a staff member is worried about the shaver not working or the flavor station is broken, how are you able to efficiently deliver that high level service that the vision is aligned with? It's very hard to, because now you have to think about things that you shouldn't have to think about. All you should think about is making sure that that kid has a smile on their face, that adult has a smile on their face, knowing that their kid just just works so hard to win their 8-year old 8U tournament at the baseball field, and the one thing that they wanted was a snow cone. As soon as they walked into the park, they saw the snowy truck, and they're like, "Wow, like that's what I want, Dad, if I win." And then the dad's like, "Well, you're gonna get that. Imagine if our POS isn't working, or all the factors that are in place from the business side or just from the equipment side of Snowy. Imagine if that doesn't work, and we now take that experience away from that family, and it would the high consistency of that would be the lack of preparation. We didn't know that that could happen. We didn't update the POS. We didn't check the shaver to make sure that the blade is working. We didn't test the flavor station to make sure that everything's going through smooth. Or we made sure that all our inventory, cups, spoons, napkins, straws, everything is stocked up. So that person, because there's so many walks of life that comes to our building, that comes to our, and there's so many different perceptions and intentions behind why they're doing what they're doing. What if somebody's just having a bad day, or they're not in the position they want to be in life, and they're like, "Well, I could really just use something to pick me up, to make me feel better." We could take that experience away from them by not being prepared, and that is one thing that it gets me up. It gets the whole team up, because we're like, no, we're not gonna take that experience from you, because that is our vision. That is the foundation and the backbone of our business, to apply that vision at a high level.
Today, while the vision remains central, the approach to leadership has shifted towards more inclusivity and empowerment. In the businesses I've started and run, leadership is about fostering a culture of innovation, collaboration, and autonomy. One of the first lessons I learned very early on about managing
Exactly. Innovation, collaboration, autonomy. Something that you're able to implement that is transcending a current industry, transcending a current business, using collaboration, you being able to put that idea on a paper or onto a system, onto a structure, to where people are in direct communication of understanding what the collaboration is, what you need to do in order to be in the position to fulfill that innovative thought or that innovative action. And then the autonomy, that's where you have procedures, you have systems, you have all the things that you need in order to truly be in the position you need to be in, without having to do absolutely everything. Because with innovation, there's a level of personal things that there's only so far you can go with the personal things. But if you have autonomy, if you have people and systems, and we're in a time where we can utilize AI, then we're able to now streamline all these systems to the vision, and things are now able to work like a machine. And it's just a beautiful thing, combining all three of those and utilizing it to the best of your capability. And like, I just love how they said it in the beginning, aligning all of that with your vision. And so then when things do go off the rail, you can course correct back to the vision. And if the vision isn't being fulfilled, or the track to the vision is not being fulfilled, then you know that, okay, this might not be the right idea or the right plan or the right system or the right people. And to course correct and figure out, okay, this is what we need to do in order to accomplish this goal is crucial.
sales teams was that you have to experience what your sales team is experiencing. You have to be on the ground with them. And then you also have to socialize with them after to learn about their experience, what's challenges they're facing and how they overcame adversity on a daily basis. When they feel connected to the person that's managing them, they try harder and they get better results. Leaders now play more of a coach.
That's what's so important. And he was about to say coaching, like it can't just be a transactional relationship. It has to be deeper than that because then that person is going to go that second mile fight for you. And being able to put yourself in a leadership role or a position to where you can make that person feel seen, you hear the person's thoughts, you implement that person's thoughts, you put things into place to make sure that they feel heard, they feel seen, they understand, hey, I am a genuine part of this team. I'm not just a worker. I'm on the team. My words matter. What I provide to the table, what I provide to the business, to the company is important. And that makes you want to have even more ideas and create more visions and create more systems and processes that is going to make everyone's life easy because you feel heard, you feel seen, you've created a level of relationship and rapport with people that actually can change the system and have it permanent or have it to a point where things are in communication with everyone else that this is how we do things now. You feel a part, and that's going to drive that. I feel like that's what drives all good businesses and great companies because they understand that, hey, I'm providing a service and a value to this company that I'm in. That gives me a drive to want to even be a part of this company. It transcends just a transactional relationship to where, okay, I'm working and I'm getting paid. All right, I'm working, I'm getting paid. No, it's deeper than that. And that's what we love building at Snowy Atlanta. We love building that connection with that person, asking that person, man, how's school? How's life? And just talking like they're human, like we're all human beings. We all have different walks of life. We all have different perceptions. So for us to try to figure it out, whether it's hardship or something that's good in their life, just to cheer them on and make them feel heard and feel like, hey, this is deeper than just a business. This is a lifestyle. And that's what we create at Snowy Atlanta.
Role, empowering their teams to take ownership and contribute ideas themselves.
Coaching is crucial in today's world. It reminds me of another timeless principle, the importance of development. Leaders not only guide their teams toward achieving organizational goals, but also invest in their personal and professional growth. How do you see this playing out in modern leadership practices, Michael?
Personal development is a huge focus today. As a leader, we're expected to be mentors, helping our team members to develop their skills and careers. We use tools like regular one-on-one meetings, personalized development plans, and feedback to support their growth. The idea is to create an environment where continuous learning is part of the culture.
One of the things that we
Yes, and I feel like that's where the ego has to be deleted, at least the false ego, because there's two types of egos. You have an ego that we cannot avoid because it's just a part of our soul, and we have the false ego. And with the false ego of status, money, and wanting to be the end all say all, that doesn't create that team of openness and to where you are receptive of what people are saying, of new ideas and new implementations. You get into this mindset of, well, they haven't put as much work as I have in this business, so there's no way they can know that this works or this is gonna help this business. They don't have enough time, especially not as much as me. Like, having that egoical mind, you don't know where that idea could have came from. You don't know how this person has created that level of conviction to why they wanted to convey that idea to you. They could be in a whole nother realm to where this did work and they would love to add this to Snowy because it would make it a better machine. And by having an egoical mindset, you're not able to, your mind is closed, so you're not able to truly learn and grow. You're just learning and growing from what you want to learn and grow from, and that is limited. That is not. It gets to a point where you're going to not scale in the rate that you genuinely want to scale, because you are limited to your own mindset, your own practices, your own ideologies, which is not it. It's distasteful for certain people, especially the right people, genuine people that don't have that egoical mindset. They don't want to be in that environment. They don't want to be around someone who's just always right. Whatever I say, it doesn't matter, because they're gonna insinuate that I'm wrong, or insinuate that I don't know what I'm talking about because I don't have enough quote unquote hours in this particular business. But you don't, and that's why the ego is so important, because the ego is an entity. It's an energy entity, and if you consistently feed the ego, it's going to need it's going to need that ego in order to survive. It's going to let's I'm going to make an example. Someone whose false ego is attached, their attachment is with money. If somebody comes or something comes to them and is challenging their management of money or their amount of money that they have, that person with the false ego is going to do everything that they possibly can to fight that thought, whether it's them proving them all in every aspect on why they're wrong, or calling them names, or being in a negative state of mind to make them feel better about themselves and make them feel more superior on the situation. Because and that is a subconscious thing that you're not even able to control, because you have fed it so many times, when you could have been feeding a different type of ego, and being on the other cycle of it, to where you are accepting of certain things, and knowing that, okay, my attachment isn't to the result, my attachment is to the journey and to the vision, that I just wanted to work. So I wanted to work, and I wanted to align with our vision, in our sense, to create a memorable experience. So if someone does have an idea, if it's not exactly my idea, but it aligns with the vision, because my attachment is to the journey and not to the result, then I'm going to be very more receptive of that person than the person who is just attached to the result, because you're closed minded, especially in the false ego sense, because you're closed minded in the fact that you have to be the end all say all. Because when, let's say, that idea does work, now you can go around telling everybody who is willing to listen that you came up with that idea. That is why you did that. That is what's giving you a sense of life. And we don't do that at Snowy Atlanta. We want everybody to feel heard. We want people to want to come back and give their ideas and give their walks of life and give their experiences, so we can learn and be better, so we can apply that to our business, to the vision, and be better versions of ourselves, and allow the business to grow and scale, and create a community of rapport to where everybody wants to be a part of it. Everybody feels heard, the community within each other. I mean, there's been so many times where multiple people come up with ideas just by being in the unit together and having their own separate experience than maybe we've had. And that, I feel like that's what's cool about being in this type of business, because there's so many different events we go to churches, colleges, festivals, schools, so many different people that we interact with. So there are different ways to handle certain situations, and we can't be everywhere at all times. So by getting that input from that trusted individual, that trusted team member, and we're like, okay, this makes sense, we can apply this, and this is good. We we had a we had a situation where, well, so our previous process, when we were breaking down ice, we had this cardboard box that, and then we would break the ice. And then a staff member came to my dad and he was like, "Hey, the the cardboard is, because of the water that's getting on the ice, it's starting to break. The cardboard's starting to break." And then that instantly created a light bulb in my dad's head. He's like, okay, we need a new system that works more efficiently and it's better, and that can be more sustainable for the 7 events that we have in a day. So my dad implemented this rectangular plexiglass that is pretty much indestructible, because we've had, once he implemented that, I mean, we've been using it for a good 4 to 6 months, and it's been no hiccups. It's been the plexiglass doesn't break, and I break it down because sometimes when you go to Sam's Club and you have to get ice that day of, the ice can get too it's too hard. So sometimes you really gotta break it. The idea for Sam's Club ice is to let it sit for a good day, and then it'll be ready and perfect the next day. But sometimes you're in an emergency situation, so you got to get the ice. So with that plexiglass, I mean, you can break hard ice on that soft ice, and it will stay good. So, but it that was created because of that trusted team member to where we understand he's put a lot of work into making sure that we're smooth sailing, things are going efficiently. If he has questions or things that are going on within the event, he's gonna let us know. He's very transparent with us. So we're like, yeah, like that makes a lot of sense. But if we're so attached to the fact that we came up with the cardboard idea that we need to break the ice like this, then where can you grow? Now we have an even better system because of a trusted team member that had a separate experience that we had. Because I personally never had that experience because I just haven't had that. So, and it was probably the nature of the environment he was in. It was a hot day. They were outside. So and there's so many factors. That's why being receptive and being open minded to what people are saying in their experiences and how their implementation can truly make a difference is so important. It means a lot, but it comes from having an open mindedness and being attached to the journey and your journey being pure. It's being genuine and truly trying to create a difference into this world.
Have found in coaching is the need to sit down with each of the people who report to you once a week, and it is their agenda. They bring an agenda written out with their concerns, their accomplishments, what they're doing, where they need help, and so on, until you get into a regular habit of meeting with your people, and they feel very involved in the total success of the business. And this is
And this is why we have our training. We have our training because we want to hear different stories, different experiences. There's so many experiences that we have. I mean, at least hundreds of thousands of different experiences that we probably had just last year. And it's all in perception. It's the way you see it. And by being open to that and having these trainings to say, hey, what did y'all see? Like what can we do differently at the Brave Stadium? It was our first year last year. What do y'all see by being in it in the first person mode, actually being in it, not us looking at it from a third person mode where we're looking kind of seeing the outskirts and seeing the how things are working from a third person point of view. We're asking the first person point of view. Okay, what did you see? what what are things that you just kept doing even though you would rather something else be done to fix that problem? That's where our training is important because we have four modes of training. It's the introduction, just talking about our systems and what Snowy is about. It's two, our customer service, what we our vision and tenacity to create a high level of customer service and create a memorable experience. Then the third one is equipment. So breaking down our shaver situation, flavor stations, our generators, and our point of sales. And then you have four, which is units and procedures. So it shows all of our units and then the procedures behind each unit. So that's the structure of the training. And from last year to this year, there's very minor changes because I mean we figure something out. We're like, okay, we'll grow. But at the end of the day, because it's such a simplistic business, it's ice and flavor, and it's very repeatable. The procedures are not. It's not rocket science, so we're able to replicate it a lot easier. And the things are they don't change as much. We still have the same shaver, we still have the same flavor station, we still have the same point of sale system, we still have the same generators. We have the same equipment, the same units. It's not like we have to buy a new unit every year. We have we have the things and we're keeping them up to date. We're cleaning them. We're making sure that they're maintained correctly, so we're not missing out on any of that. But so then this opens the floor because, and we have to do that. We do that especially in our first training of the year because we do get new onboarded members. But this also gives us time and it opens the floor for staff members to ask questions and to give their input and for us to. I always have a notebook out because I'm like, okay, what do y'all see? And I'm gonna write it down and I'm gonna see, okay, can we actually do this, or does this inflict with our vision? And if it does, we keep it real about it. But if it doesn't, we try to apply it. We try to make it work. There's another situation where we used to have we used to have either no chairs or these smaller chairs. And one of our staff members was like, "Hey, I think it would be great if we had like a stool kind of chair to where we can sit but still sit up and be able to see the staff member instead of sitting low like this." So then and then when a staff member, I mean, when a customer comes, you're like, oh, hi. It's like you've been bombarded. Or having to stand the whole time, it can get to a point where there is a lot of dead time after a big line and you would like to sit down. So how could we create that integration? And she had a perfect idea. We need stools. Now we have stools in every single unit. That's a non-negotiable. It's on the inventory list of our all of our handbooks. We need a stool, and it's stuff like that we might miss scope of, or you get into this mindset of, especially in entrepreneurship, it's like, okay, there's certain things that you just got to deal with. Like we have a 1985 truck, snow cone truck, no AC. It gets hot in there. But we have a battery powered fan and it gets us through. But me and my dad, we joke about it. We're like, man, it's something about driving that vehicle in the heat. It makes us feel good. It's like, man, this is the grind. Like, man, we in this old vehicle, we grinding. Um, but there's from our point of view, there's certain things it's like, okay, we just got to deal with that. We just got to deal with that. And by having different perspectives and different perceptions, we're able to mold all of it together, and everybody can win. That's our goal. We want everybody to win. We want we want us to win, of course. On the admin side, we want staff to win. We want the client to win. We want the customers to win. We want it to be a win-win situation for everyone and mutual relationship, not a parasitical relationship where someone has to lose in order for us to win. That is not our ideology. That is not the way we do business at all.
Something that very few managers do, but in the best companies that I've worked with, they do it all the time.
And it makes I don't know that it just the idea of ego just came into my brain, and I have a direct experience with this when it comes to baseball. So I played baseball since I was 5 years old until college, and I really took baseball serious in high school. And it was a situation where, and all baseball people know, went to Jupiter, Florida for one of the biggest events, biggest tournaments in the country. I mean, you have golf carts lined up with scouts, all type of scouts. So I'm in the game. I'm playing center field. Uh, Line drive comes. It's behind my head. I turn around. I go to get it. I dive like this, like grab it, catch it, and now I was feeling good. Cannot lie. And then, long story short, the game ends. I I'm like walking to so we can leave because I was a part of the Ohio Warhawks at that time. Shout out to the Warhawks. Shout out to Coach Slush. Um, and I was approached by two scouts. One was a Milwaukee Brewers scout. One was a Chicago Cubs scout. And long story short, the Brewers scout, he invited me to this workout, and that trickled to so many things. I ended up going to a Twins workout, a Diamondbacks workout. Some, I would say about 5 to 6 teams I started working out with. So in my 17-year-old, 18-year-old brain, I'm like, man, this is it. And around this time, this is when Snowy was created. So I'm thinking, I'm just gonna help out on the side when I can come back from whatever the case is, because it looks like, and they're talking about vision. My vision is to play professional baseball. So, and then I also had a situation where I could have signed as a free agent to the St. Louis Cardinals my senior year. But I'm like, you know what? No, I'm gonna take my chances and try to go higher round. And the crazy thing about it all, we went on a in high school, went on a 6 game winning streak. We played the number 2 team in the state, beat them at Coolray Field. Now we've been there, they're changing it to I think Striper Stadium. But that was the last high school game I ever played. And because of COVID hit and took the whole season, took my senior year, everything. And then the MLB rounds went from 30 rounds to 5 rounds. So I didn't get drafted that year. So then I went to school. And when I went to school, I had shoulder surgery in the first semester. So I ended up having a red shirt. And then fast forward after that year ends, I tried to transfer to another. Well, no, I did transfer to another school. And as I'm transferring, I had surgery on my other shoulder, both labrum tears. So after that happened, I ended up just DHing for that year, the second year, and then it was I got to a point I'm like, man, like I can't even play the sport that I love that I've been playing since I was 5 years old. This I can't play it at the highest efficiency. So I went back home and went full time to business. But I say the story because it put me down a pretty dark road because of my attachment to baseball, my attachment to the result of getting drafted, my attachment to my egoic, my false ego that baseball is a definition of who I am. It's an identification of who I am, and it was tough for me to get out of that. And it with the learning and the reading that I've been doing and the practical experiences that I've been having, I realized that that is where my pain came from. It was that constant gradual feeding of the false ego that now once that ego wasn't fulfilled and that desire wasn't fulfilled, it was like I was left with nothing. And I would get to these points like who am I? Like I thought this whole time just a baseball player, that was it. Like now who am I? And everything I truly believe happens for a reason, and it opened my eyes in when it comes to entrepreneurship, when it comes to business, that now I have ownership over my life, over my time, and I can directly implement things that I come up with. And it took a level of rapport, of course, with my dad because he has the final say, but because I've developed a uh, consistency and trust and experience. Now my experiences mean something, and what I bring to the table, what I have to say about certain things, has value because I have enough skin in the game. They say it takes 10,000 hours for you to master something. Me and my dad, no question, have more than 10,000 hours each when it comes to Snowy. So and what's cool about that, yes, so we are quote unquote experts in the shaved ice business, but we have a willingness to learn. We have a willingness to grow that is not going to stop. It's not going to stop. And because our vision is high, our vision is to deliver memorable service, and it's also to generate generational wealth. It's to build relationships that live beyond us, that 50 years from now, 100 years from now, our kids can, my kids can eat off of it and build a relationship and rapport and have these people in their lives because of the seed that we planted and kept growing. And yeah, so that ego is something, and it's so important to farm it in the vision of purity and alignment to what is going to make the world a better place.
It sounds like while the methods have evolved, the core principles of developing and caring for your team remains a cornerstone of effective leadership. Another principle I've always found that is vital is integrity. Leaders must be models of the values they wish to see in their organization.
Integrity is more important than ever, especially in an era where businesses are under increased scrutiny from the public and their own employees. Leaders must be transparent, authentic, and consistent in their actions and decisions. This actually reminds me of a philosophy that I learned from my father when I was growing up. He would tell me, Michael, whatever trouble you get in, and I got in a lot of trouble as a kid.
Imagine being able to build an app with your name on it, just by thinking about it. Meet Base 44.
He's like, if you tell me the truth, you'll never be in trouble. If you tell me the truth, you'll never be in trouble. And so I would get in trouble, but I'd tell him the truth. And so,
And I don't. It's like the ego is just so heavy in my brain right now. The false ego is such a lack of integrity because you're not going to do certain things because it's not just for yourself. So if you're not going to do that thing in the dark to make sure that you do have integrity, because that's when you do something when nobody's watching, good things when nobody's watching. But if your attachment is with the result of, let's say fame is your false ego, then what you're how are you going to truly have integrity? What are you going to do in the dark that is a good thing? Because you want everything to be notarized. You want everything to be seen. So you're not going to try to be in the dark. You're going to always try to have someone with you so you can prove that, yeah, this is what you did and this is how you became who you are. And it becomes distasteful to people that truly are genuine souls, because it's like, okay, I'm doing this. I have integrity. I'm doing things to make sure that all the systems are in place, not for any notoriety or any fame, but just due to the nature of understanding that it needs to get done and it will make our business better and more efficient. I believe that's true integrity, and not doing things for fame or for something else, for a result, an attached result. I think that attachment to the result it creates the most demise, and it's a lack of fulfillment, because if you have so much of an attachment to something that you don't have, that insinuates that you are not fulfilled with what you currently have.
he would never punish me. He would have me learn a lesson, but I would never get punished. And now that I'm an adult and I have my own kids and I'm raising them with the same philosophy, I realize how important that is. Even more important when you're an adult, because when you do get in trouble, when you're an adult, if you lie or you're disingenuous, you get in a whole heap of trouble. You ruin your reputation, and you can't just move towns anymore because everybody's so interconnected. So telling the truth is way more important as an adult, and maintaining that high integrity. This helps build trust, which is essential for any team's success, especially in a strong remote style environment or distributed teams where face-to-face interactions are less frequent.
Well, Peter Drucker once said that when you come right
I love how it said maintaining integrity builds trust, because your level of conviction that you have over certain things that you're talking about in a leadership role, it has to increase if you have a high levels of integrity, because you genuinely mean what you're saying, because you're willing to do that thing when nobody's watching, when nobody sees it, when and this is why I feel like the off season for, especially I know there are a, a few businesses that don't have like an off season standpoint. But what I love about snow is we do have that off season. We do have that time in December, January, and mid February to transform our business and to transform our systems and to implement certain things to make our lives better, everyone else's lives better, and to align more and more with our vision, to establish that human connection, to be that person, that beacon of hope for all of society, to let the world know that, hey, if you just put one step in front of the other with a good heart, with a good soul, with good intentions, you can take a little old snow cone trailer that couldn't even be hitched to where we're currently at now. And the fact that we're not at, me and my dad, we always say we're not even close to our potential. Like we're really just getting started. Like that glacier image, we're like below the water. We're not even at surface yet. So we're not even close to peak. And it's a great feeling. It my soul is so warmed on the fact that we're that's not the reason why we're even trying to grow and be better. It is just because the ride is so fun. Learning, having these conflicts that come into our life that we've created this cycle to where no, we want to solve problems. We're not in fear of problems, because if you're in fear of problems, you try to shield it and protect it so much that you don't even understand the external realities or factors that can affect your business, because you're so one dimensionally focused on trying to protect the asset. But with the right research, the right team, the right systems in place, you are able to have the confidence and create the cycle of, hey, I don't care what problem arises, we have the confidence, we've built the muscle of tenacity, of resilience to not fail, to not allow this problem to define our fate and our legacy.
Down to it, integrity is the most important quality of leadership. And integrity means that you always tell the truth, even if you're embarrassed or hurt. But the wonderful thing is, if you set the standard and you always tell the truth, eventually everybody else will tell the truth. And then you make it clear that if you don't tell the truth, you're probably going to have a chance to explore new careers somewhere else. So trust is the foundation of any strong leadership. Now, let's talk about adaptability. Throughout my career, being adaptable was important, but the pace of change was slower. Today, leaders must navigate and lead through constant change. How do leaders manage this today, Michael?
The only constant now is change. Leaders must be proactive
Ooh, that's
in
good.
anticipating changes in technology, market demands, and workplace dynamics. It involves being open to new ideas, willing to pivot strategies when necessary, and fostering a culture that embraces change rather than fears it. It's a
And this is why, kind of the beginning of what I was saying, why it is so cool that me and my dad are in two different generations, because he has developed a subconscious and collective conscious lifestyle of understanding what worked in his generation, and now I have the exact collective consciousness of what is working in our generation. So to combine that, because there are absolute truths to both ideologies, to both consciousnesses, and to know that, okay, you don't know more, you know more than me in certain aspects, I know more than you in certain aspects. And if we both, with the lack of false ego, if we combine that and create a brute force to know that, hey, and we always say this too, normally our best ideas are when we combine our ideas. And I had an example. So we we're going back and forth trying to figure out, okay, because we have a big cheer event coming up. We have 4 units there. We normally, last year we had 2 big units and then 2 small units. So, but one of those units is at Truist Park. So we were thinking, because we had to move, they had an event, so we needed to move our unit from the area it's at to somewhere else and still in the park. So we were just going back and forth, because at first my knee-jerk reaction was, okay, let's just use 3 smaller units and then 1 big unit. So going back and forth, he's talking about, okay, what about storage space? We will have less with smaller units, and just so many factors that we're just back and forth with, trying to figure it out. And I'm thinking from, because I'm more of the doer, I'm more of the boots on the ground kind of guy. So I'm like, man, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of logistic work beforehand, afterhand, all of this. So I'm trying to rationalize it in my head, but still with an open mind, because our vision is the result. Our attachment, our attachment to the result is for it to work efficiently. It is not for me to be right. It's not for him to be right. It is for it to work for everyone to win. So, long story short, as we're making our way to Truist, we made sure to get all of our equipment just in case we wanted to take our big unit at Truist home. And we got to it hit me like a freight. We were looking at the sales, seeing what made sense, but it hit me like a freight train. Our presence is something about those bigger units that creates such a bigger presence. We have a bigger flying man that can be seen from the other side of the concourse. There's more space for staff to maneuver. There's there's a higher presence. You can see us better. You can it adds to your subconscious better, more efficiently, because there's people that travel from California, from Oregon, from anywhere pretty much in the country. This is a nationwide, one of the biggest cheer events of the year. So they might not know what Snowy is, but and to have that big presence, it's so important. And it just, I'm like, no, this is a no brainer. And then we also thought, man, the Braves season doesn't start until I think there's the Savannah Bananas. That's like mid March. It doesn't start until after cheer sport. So what does that mean? That means that that unit that we're trying, that maybe in my head I'm like, man, but it's harder logistically, this, that unit is going to make us $0 at Truist instead of going to our biggest event of the year. And that it doesn't even make sense. But us having that back and forth, him having that expertise in the field that he is in just the added life that he has been gifted to have, and with my operational expertise and just trying to understand the sales and how that applies to the concourse and where we're at and how we can utilize that to the best of our ability, and we combine that, and then it became a no-brainer idea. And I just love how we're able to now piggyback off of each other, build ideas, and create truly the best case scenario.
Daily exercise.
And it's you that sets the standard. If you don't fear change, especially if you've made a mistake, the smartest thing that you can do is admit it quickly. We say, admit the mistake and then look for a solution, change.
And that's taking ownership of your fate, of your reality. And of course, if you believe in a higher source, he is the all knowing. But if you're constantly making excuses, you can't do anything about that. You're now given so much power to an external entity instead of, even if it's just one thing that you could do to be better, use that to become a better version of yourself. Don't allow that to affect you or for you to point outward, because then what can you do? Then you get into a cycle of nothing's my fault. It's always someone else's fault. So then what you're not going to change yourself. And I always make this analogy, like, if you have batteries in a remote, just a regular remote that work, you're not going to change anything. And that's in a direct application to our life. If you feel like nothing is your fault, you're not going to change. Why would you change? You feel like everything you're doing is right. So what are the batteries in our life that we need to change in order to be better and not make excuses and feel like that because you lose, the more excuses to make, the less control you have over your reality, your life, and your fate.
Your course of action, do something different. So it's clear that while the context in which we lead has changed, the core principles that I've followed as a leader are still the same. They've only evolved in how they're applied.
Absolutely. The key is to remain rooted in these leadership principles while staying agile and open to new approaches and technologies. By blending wisdom with modern tactics, leaders can inspire and guide their teams through any challenge that comes their way.
Well said, Michael. Now, we hope this discussion inspires you to reflect on your leadership practices.
Great video. This was amazing. Shout out to Brian Tracy. This was fantastic. Yeah, that was a great video. Touched on so many things, and I believe in this generation, we believe that we know so much more than our elders or the generation before us. And the best case scenario is when we combine both. So I hope you learned something today. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all have a great day. All right, stream. Thank you for everyone that tuned in. Y'all have a blessed day. And I have 3